You have been lied to about sleep, not by anyone who meant you harm, but by a number repeated so often that it has become an unbreakable law. 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours. Get your 8 hours and everything will be fine. And yet here you are, doing exactly that, and waking up feeling like you never slept at all. Foggy by mid-morning, aching by the afternoon. And you have started to wonder whether this is just what getting older feels like. I need you to hear me clearly. It is not. What you are experiencing is not aging. It is a mismatch, and it is fixable. Today we are going to dismantle the most dangerous myth about sleep after 70 and replace it with something far more powerful. A single window of time that could change the way you feel every morning for the rest of your life. But I am not going to hand it to you in the first minute. Instead, I am going to walk you through the biology, first of all, because once you understand what is happening inside your body, the answer will feel completely obvious, and you will never look at your bedtime the same way again. Let me ask you something. Do you ever notice it around 8:30 or 9 in the evening? You are sitting in your favorite chair and suddenly your eyelids start to feel heavy. Your body is saying enough for today, but you tell yourself it is too early, so you push through, you make another cup of tea, you pick up your phone, you scroll, and then an hour or two later, when you finally go to bed, sleep does not come the way it should. You lie there, you toss, you turn, and you wonder what is wrong with you. Here is what I need you to understand. Nothing is wrong with you. You are not imagining it, and you are not broken. That feeling you get at 8:30 is one of the most important biological signals your body will send you all day. And most people over 70 have been trained to ignore it. Inside your brain, in a tiny region smaller than a grain of rice, sits your body's master clock. It is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN, a cluster of about 20,000 nerve cells. It decides when you feel alert, when you feel sleepy, when your temperature rises, when your hormones are released, when your blood pressure dips. Every rhythm in your body is coordinated by this tiny cluster of cells. And here's what the research has confirmed. That master clock physically changes as you age. The cells become fewer. Their electrical signals become weaker, less synchronized, less precise. And the most important consequence of this deterioration is a shift in the entire schedule. Scientists call it an advanced circadian phase. In plain language, your internal clock now runs earlier than it used to. The signals that once told your body to wind down at 10:30 or 11 at night now arrive closer to 8 or 8:30 in the evening. Your biological programming has moved forward by 1 to 3 hours, and no amount of willpower can permanently override that. This is not a habit problem. This is not a discipline problem. This is a biology problem. And once you understand that, everything changes, because it means the exhaustion you feel every morning is not the result of getting too little sleep. It is the result of sleeping at the wrong time. Let me show you what I mean. Your body does not release melatonin, the hormone that prepares you for sleep, on a schedule you choose. It releases it on a schedule your brain chooses. And studies from researchers affiliated with Harvard Medical School have shown that older adults often experience melatonin release up to 90 minutes earlier than younger adults. 90 minutes. Imagine that. Your body has been trying to prepare you for sleep since 8:30 in the evening, and you have been ignoring it until 11. You have been forcing your body to follow a schedule that belongs to a younger person. And when you do that night after night, week after week, year after year, something breaks down. Your cortisol, the hormone that should rise gently in the morning to wake you, also shifts. It peaks earlier. So you wake up feeling like you have already been running before you have even gotten out of bed. This is the hidden cause behind so many of the complaints that get dismissed as normal aging. The fatigue, the brain fog, the aches, the feeling of being half asleep all day. None of it is inevitable. All of it is timing. And there is a specific window of time that the research points to, a window that could change everything for you. But before I give it to you, I want to make sure you understand why it matters so much, because that is where the real power lives. You see, not all sleep is created equal. The sleep you get in the first half of the night is biologically different from the sleep you get in the second half. And this is the piece that almost nobody explains. The piece that, once you see it, will make you understand why counting hours has been failing you for years. Because when you go to bed at 11 o'clock, when your melatonin has already been rising since 8:30, you are not just going to bed late. You are missing the most valuable hours of the night. the hours your body has been waiting for, the hours when the deepest repair happens, and I am going to show you exactly what happens in those hours and why timing matters more than the number of hours you spend in bed. Stay with me, because what comes next is the answer you have been looking for. So now you understand why the clock shifts, but understanding the problem is only half of it. The other half is the answer. And here is where most sleep advice falls apart, telling you how many hours to sleep but never when. Let me be precise, because vague advice does not help anyone. Based on multiple lines of research, including large-scale sleep studies published in journals like Sleep Health and JAMA Network Open, plus clinical guidance from sleep specialists at the Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins, the consensus for adults over 70 points to a bedtime window of 9 to 10 p.m., not because it sounds tidy, not because of tradition, but because of what happens inside your body during this window. Your deepest, most restorative sleep, the stage scientists call slow wave sleep, or stage N3, occurs predominantly during the first half of the night. This is when your pituitary gland releases growth hormone, which repairs tissue, strengthens muscle, and supports immune function. This is when your blood pressure drops to its healthiest overnight levels, a phenomenon cardiologists call nocturnal dipping. This is when your brain's glymphatic system, a waste clearance network discovered at the University of Rochester, becomes most active, flushing out toxic proteins that accumulate between brain cells throughout the day. One of those proteins is amyloid beta, and researchers have linked its long-term buildup with Alzheimer's disease. Sleep is not just rest. It is literally your brain washing itself clean. Here is why timing matters. If you go to bed at 11 p.m. when your melatonin has been rising since 8:30, you have delayed the start of that deep sleep by more than 2 hours. You have narrowed the window where the most powerful biological repair happens. You may still sleep 7 or 8 hours, but the best hours, biologically speaking, are the ones you missed. Going to bed between 9 and 10 p.m. aligns your sleep with your body's actual biological schedule. You enter deep sleep during its most productive window. You allow blood pressure to dip at the right time. You give the glymphatic system its full opportunity to work. In one study of over 600 adults aged 70 and older, participants who kept a consistent bedtime between 9 and 10 p.m. reported significantly lower rates of nighttime waking, higher scores on daytime mental clarity tests, and better self-reported cardiovascular health compared to those who went to bed after 11 p.m., even when total sleep hours were similar. Think about that. The same number of hours in bed, the same amount of sleep on paper, yet one group woke up sharper and felt better about their hearts. The only difference was the time they chose to close their eyes. This is the single most underappreciated fact about sleep after 70. Here is the question nobody asks. If going to bed between 9 and 10 is so powerful, why does it feel so hard for so many people? Why do millions of older adults know they should go to bed earlier, intend to, and still end up wide awake at midnight, staring at the ceiling, wondering where the evening went? The answer is not a lack of willpower. The answer is not laziness. The answer is that 3 specific things are happening every single evening, quietly, invisibly, working against you before you ever reach your pillow. One of them is so common it happens in almost every home every single night, and nobody thinks twice about it. Another one is hiding in plain sight on your dinner plate. And the third one is the most surprising of all, because it involves something you probably think is completely harmless, something you may be doing right now without realizing the damage it is doing to your sleep. Before I reveal them, understand this. These 3 mistakes are not dramatic. They do not feel dangerous. They will not make you fall asleep any later tonight, nor will you feel their effects tomorrow morning. They are slow, silent, cumulative. They work on you week after week, month after month, until one day you realize you cannot remember the last time you woke up feeling genuinely rested, and that is exactly why they are so dangerous, because nothing about them warns you. Nothing about them feels like a mistake at the time. You will go through your entire evening believing you are doing everything right, while your body is quietly being pushed further and further away from the deep, restorative sleep it desperately needs. But before we get to those 3 mistakes, I want to take you deeper into what actually happens when you get the timing right. The benefits of going to bed in the right window go far beyond just feeling less tired in the morning. What we are really talking about is protecting the length and quality of your life. And there are three specific things that happen inside your body when older adults consistently sleep within the right biological window. The first one involves your heart, and it may be the most important cardiovascular intervention you have never been told about. The second one involves your brain, and it may hold the key to how clearly you think in the years ahead. The third one involves your metabolism, and it could be quietly affecting your blood sugar in ways you have never suspected. Each one of these is more surprising than the last, and the third one, I promise you, is the one that almost nobody has ever explained to you. By the time you understand all three of these benefits, you will never again think of bedtime as just the time you go to sleep. You will think of it as one of the most truly powerful health decisions you make every single day. The question is not how long you sleep, the question is when. And the answer is about to change the way you think about every single evening of your life. Let us now look at the three specific things that happen inside your body when you sleep in the right window. These are the rewards your biology has been waiting for, and most health conversations never connect them to bedtime. The first one involves your heart, and it may be the most underappreciated cardiovascular protection available to any senior. Cardiologists have long emphasized that your blood pressure does not stay flat while you sleep. In healthy older adults who go to bed at the right time, blood pressure naturally drops by 10 to 20% during the night. This is what doctors call a dipping pattern. That overnight drop gives the arterial walls a genuine rest from the constant pressure of circulation. It is the only extended decompression your cardiovascular system gets all day. But in adults who go to bed late or whose sleep is fragmented, this dipping pattern is interrupted or absent entirely. The heart never fully decompresses. Over months and years, researchers have linked this non-dipping pattern to higher rates of left ventricular hypertrophy, a thickening of the heart wall, and to elevated stroke risk. When you go to bed in sync with your circadian phase, you protect that dipping window. Your heart gets the recovery time it physiologically needs. This is one of the most powerful cardiovascular interventions available to any senior, and it costs absolutely nothing. Not a single pill, just the decision to close your eyes at the time your body is asking for. The second benefit involves your brain, and here the stakes become genuinely profound. During deep, slow-wave sleep, your hippocampus, the brain's memory center, consolidates the day's experiences and information, transferring important memories into long-term storage and discarding what is not needed. Simultaneously, the glymphatic channels open to roughly 60% larger than when you are awake, allowing cerebral spinal fluid to flow between brain cells and wash out metabolic waste. Research from the National Institutes of Health has shown that even 1 or 2 nights of poor or mistimed sleep measurably increases amyloid beta levels in cerebral spinal fluid. 1 night. Imagine what years of chronically delayed bedtimes do to that accumulation. This does not mean poor sleep timing directly causes Alzheimer's disease, and no honest researcher would claim that. But the relationship between sleep quality, sleep timing, and long-term brain health is one of the most active areas of neuroscience today, and the evidence strongly suggests that protecting your deep sleep window is one of the most meaningful things you can do for your cognitive longevity. Every night you go to bed in the right window, you give your brain its full cleaning cycle. Every night you delay, you shorten that cycle. It is that simple and that consequential. The third benefit is the one almost nobody talks about, and it may surprise you the most. Your metabolic health stabilizes overnight. Many seniors are stunned to learn that the timing of sleep directly influences blood sugar regulation. During sleep, particularly deep sleep, your body's sensitivity to insulin improves and glucose uptake into cells increases, while the liver reduces its overnight glucose output, keeping fasting blood sugar in a healthy range. Studies in the journal Diabetes Care show that circadian misalignment, going to bed at the wrong time for your biological clock, disrupts overnight glucose regulation even when total sleep hours remain identical. And here is the striking part. Older adults with type 2 diabetes or prediabetes who corrected their sleep timing without other dietary changes showed measurable improvements in fasting glucose and HbA1c over 3 months. Sleep timing is not a replacement for medication or a nutritional plan. It is not a miracle cure, but it is a powerful, underused lever in metabolic health, particularly after 70. 3 benefits: a heart that gets to rest, a brain that gets to clean itself, a metabolism that gets to regulate your blood sugar while you sleep, all of them waiting behind a single decision you make every evening. Now, here is where the story takes a turn, and I need you to pay close attention. Because every single one of these benefits, the heart protection, the brain cleaning, the metabolic stability, can be silently undone before you ever reach your pillow. There are 3 things that millions of seniors do every single evening that quietly prevent them from ever reaching that deep restorative sleep, even on the nights they go to bed early. And here is what makes this so dangerous. None of these 3 things feels like a mistake. None of them will keep you awake tonight in an obvious way. They work beneath the surface, night after night, eroding the very sleep your body is trying to give you. The first one is so universal that it happens in almost every home on the planet after dinner, and almost no one connects it to their sleep. The second one is hiding in plain sight on your dinner plate, and it has nothing to do with what you might think. And the third one is the most surprising of all, because it involves an activity that most people consider completely harmless, something you may be doing in this exact moment. When I reveal these 3 mistakes, you will recognize at least one of them instantly, and that recognition is the first step toward reclaiming the sleep your body has been trying to give you all along. But before we go there, I want you to understand one more thing, because it changes how you will hear everything that follows. These 3 mistakes are not about discipline. They are not about willpower. They are about biology, and about how the modern world has quietly drifted out of alignment with the bodies we were given. Stay with me, because the next section is where everything you have learned so far comes together, and where you will finally see the invisible forces that have been working against your sleep every single night. Now we arrive at the 3 evening mistakes that ruin sleep after 70. And I want you to understand, before we begin, that these are not exotic failures. These are not rare errors that only a few people make. These are the 3 most common things happening in homes every single night, and most people never connect any of them to the quality of their sleep. Mistake number 1: treating light like it does not matter after dinner. After the sun sets, your brain is waiting for one signal above all others to begin releasing melatonin, and that signal is darkness. Your entire biological system is built around this ancient rhythm. Light means day, darkness means night. Your master clock has been reading that signal for every single day of your life. The problem is that most modern homes are flooded with bright overhead lighting in the evening hours. And that light, particularly blue spectrum light from LED bulbs, televisions, tablets, and smartphones, directly suppresses melatonin production. Research from Harvard's Division of Sleep Medicine has found that exposure to blue light in the evening can delay melatonin release by up to 3 hours. Let that number settle. 3 hours. For a younger adult, that might mean feeling alert until midnight. But for a 70-year-old whose body is already trying to release melatonin at 8:30 in the evening, bright evening light can override that signal entirely. Your body says, it is time to sleep. The light says, it is still daytime, and the light wins. The fix is simpler than you might think. Around 7:30 or 8 in the evening, begin dimming the lights in your home. Switch off overhead fixtures and use warmer, lower wattage lamps. If you watch television in the evening, reduce the screen brightness. These small environmental changes work with your biology instead of against it, and they cost absolutely nothing. Yet most people never make them, because the connection between a light bulb and a sleepless night has rarely been explained in plain language. But here is what almost nobody tells you. The light problem is only the first layer, and the second mistake is one that most people would never suspect in a million years. Mistake number 2: eating a heavy or late evening meal. This one surprises people because the connection between digestion and sleep quality is not obvious. But here is what happens inside your body. When you eat a large meal close to bedtime, your digestive system remains highly active. Blood flow is directed to the gut. Your core body temperature rises from the metabolic work of digestion, and your insulin levels spike and fluctuate. Your body cannot efficiently prepare for deep sleep while simultaneously processing a significant meal. The result is that even if you fall asleep, you spend more time in lighter sleep stages and less time in the slow wave deep sleep that actually restores you. Research consistently recommends finishing your last substantial meal at least 2 to 3 hours before your target bedtime. For seniors aiming to be asleep by 9:30, that means finishing dinner by 7 in the evening at the latest. If hunger strikes later, a small, easy-to-digest snack, a few whole grain crackers, a small amount of yogurt is far less disruptive than a full meal. But again, there is a deeper layer here that almost no one talks about, because the third mistake is the most widespread of all, and it is the one that almost no one ever connects to their sleep problems. And it is not what you eat. It is not the lights in your home. It is something you probably do every single evening, something that feels completely normal, something you may be doing right now without having the faintest idea of the effect it is having on your brain. Mistake number 3, watching emotionally stimulating content right before bed. This is perhaps the most widespread evening mistake of all. When you watch a tense news broadcast, a suspenseful crime drama, or scroll through emotionally charged social media before bed, your brain does not simply turn off when you close your eyes. The amygdala, your brain's emotional alarm system, remains activated. Stress hormones, including cortisol and adrenaline, remain elevated. Your nervous system stays in a mild alert state that is biologically incompatible with entering deep sleep. A study published in the journal Sleep Medicine Reviews found that emotional arousal in the 60 minutes before sleep significantly reduced slow-wave sleep duration in adults over 65, even when they appeared to fall asleep normally. They fell asleep, they slept, but they did not get the deep sleep their bodies needed. The hour before you go to bed deserves to be treated as sacred wind-down time. Gentle music, a short uplifting book, quiet conversation, a few minutes of breathing or gratitude reflection. These are not just pleasant, they are neurologically meaningful preparations that lower cortisol, calm the amygdala, and create the physiological conditions your body needs to move into deep sleep efficiently. Now, here is the question that should be forming in your mind. If these 3 mistakes are so common, and if the fix is so simple, why does anyone still struggle? Why do millions of seniors know all of this and still find themselves wide awake at midnight? The answer is that knowing what not to do is not enough. You need a practical plan that actually fits your life. And in the next part, I am going to give you that plan. 5 habits, not 10, not 20, 5. Because if a change is complicated, it will not stick. And one of these 5 habits is so powerful and so overlooked that it alone can transform your entire night, and it is the one that almost nobody ever thinks to try. But I am not going to tell you which one it is yet. You will have to stay with me to find out. So you understand the mistakes, but knowing what not to do is not enough. You need a practical, gentle plan that actually fits your life and your evenings. I have kept it to 5 habits, because if a change is complicated, it will not stick. Habit 1. Shift your bedtime gradually, not all at once. If you currently go to bed at 11 and your goal is 9:30, do not try to make that jump in one night. Move your bedtime earlier by 15 to 20 minutes every 3 or 4 days, and be patient with yourself. Your circadian clock adapts better to gradual shifts. Within 2 to 3 weeks, 9:30 will feel completely natural, because it is natural for where your body is right now. This is not about forcing yourself. It is about letting your biology catch up with the schedule it has been asking for. Here is the part most people get wrong. They treat an early bedtime as a punishment, as losing hours of their evening. But those who have made this shift will tell you the opposite. They did not lose hours. They gained mornings, clear-headed mornings, remembered dreams, energy before noon. That trade, 1 hour of dim television for a lifetime of better mornings, is the best bargain your body will ever offer you. Habit 2. Get morning sunlight within 30 minutes of waking. This is the single most powerful circadian anchor available to you, and it costs nothing. Natural morning light signals your suprachiasmatic nucleus to set its daily timer. Consistent morning light exposure helps advance your circadian phase, making it easier to feel sleepy earlier in the evening. Step outside for 10 to 15 minutes in the morning, or sit near a bright window. This one habit reinforces every other change. Here is what almost nobody explains. Morning light is not just about waking up. It sets the entire day's clock, including the exact moment your body will begin releasing melatonin that evening. Think of it as the first domino. Get morning light right, and every other habit falls into place. Skip it, and your clock drifts, and no evening discipline can fully correct the damage. This is the habit most people skip, and it is the one that matters most of all. But I am not going to explain why yet. That comes at the end. Habit 3. Create a consistent wind-down signal each and every evening. Your brain learns through repetition. When you perform the same calming sequence in the same order each evening, dimming the lights at 8, making chamomile tea, reading for 20 minutes, doing gentle stretches, your brain begins to associate that sequence with sleep. Over time, starting the sequence is enough to trigger melatonin release. The routine becomes the biological cue. This is why the most successful sleepers are not the ones who try hardest, but the ones who are most predictable. Their bodies know what is coming because they have seen the same sequence 100 times. And predictability, for a 70-year-old brain, is not boring. It is safety. It says, nothing is wrong, you can let go now. Habit 4. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. Core body temperature must fall slightly for deep sleep to initiate. Research suggests a bedroom temperature between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit is optimal for most older adults. Use blackout curtains or an eye mask to eliminate light. Consider a white noise machine or earplugs if ambient noise is an issue. Your bedroom environment is a tool. Treat it as one. Most people treat their bedroom as a second living room, watching television in it, eating in it, scrolling through their phone in it. Then they wonder why their brain does not associate that room with sleep. The brain is a creature of association. If your bedroom has always been a place of activity, your brain will stay alert there. If it is only ever a place of darkness, coolness, and quiet, your brain will begin to relax the moment you walk through the door. Habit 5. If you wake during the night, do not watch the clock. One of the most damaging things in all of sleep is clock watching during the night. When you wake at 2 in the morning and look at the clock, your brain immediately begins calculating, I have only 4 hours left. I have to fall back asleep. That anxiety elevates cortisol and makes returning to sleep harder. Turn your clock away from view. If you wake and cannot return to sleep within 20 minutes, get up, sit in dim light, do something quiet, and return to bed when sleepiness returns. Fighting wakefulness while lying in bed trains your brain to associate bed with alertness, exactly the opposite of what you want. This is one of the least known, most powerful habits in sleep science, and the one that most seniors have never been taught. Here's what I want you to notice about these 5 habits. None of them is complicated. None costs money. None requires heroic willpower beyond the first few days. Together, they are more powerful than any single intervention most seniors will ever try, and that is the point of keeping the list short. But there is one habit among these 5 that does more than all the others combined. One habit that anchors everything else, that makes every other change easier, that most people skip because they do not understand what it is doing. And it is not the one you might think. The next part will reveal which one it is. And then I'm going to show you something even more important, because getting the bedtime right is only half the story. What you do in the morning after good sleep is just as important as the sleep itself, and that is where most seniors unknowingly undo all their progress. Stay with me, because the final part is where everything comes together. Let me bring this together. After the age of 70, your body's master clock shifts. Your melatonin rises earlier. Your biology is asking for a different schedule, not a worse one, just a different one. Fighting that shift is what leaves millions of older adults exhausted, foggy, and robbed of the deep sleep their bodies need most. The research is clear. A consistent bedtime between 9 and 10 p.m., combined with morning light, a wind-down routine, a cooler bedroom, and avoiding the 3 evening mistakes, gives your heart, your brain, and your metabolism the overnight recovery window they are biologically designed to receive. This is not about going to bed early because you are old. This is about going to bed on time for the extraordinary, complex, still working body you have right now. And now, the answer to the question I left hanging. Which one habit does more than all the others combined? It is the morning light, habit 2, the one that most people skip. Here is why. Morning light is the anchor that sets your entire circadian clock for the day. It tells your suprachiasmatic nucleus when day has begun, and that single piece of information determines when your melatonin will rise that evening. Get it right, and every other habit becomes easier. Get it wrong, and no matter how early you go to bed, your clock will drift. This is why the most successful sleepers obsess over their morning, not their bedtime. The night begins in the morning. The moment you open your eyes, your body is already preparing for tonight. The most powerful thing you can do in that first half hour is step into natural light. 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That is all it takes. And yet most people skip it because it does not feel like it is doing anything. It is quiet. It is invisible. But it is the foundation that everything else stands on. Without it, your clock drifts. With it, every other habit you have learned today locks into place. This is the hidden key to everything, and it has been in your window, your garden, your morning walk, all along. Here's what I want to leave with you. We talked today about when to sleep. But there is another question most seniors have never been told the answer to. What you do in the morning after good sleep is just as important as the sleep itself. The morning habits that lock in your circadian rhythm, extend the benefits of deep sleep, and protect your brain through the rest of the day. That is what we are covering next. Here is why it matters. You could do everything we have discussed tonight, go to bed at 9:30, sleep perfectly, and still undo half of it tomorrow morning with a single habit you never thought twice about. One morning, mistake that quietly erases the benefits of your entire night. Most seniors make it every single day without knowing, and it is the reason so many people do everything right and still feel exhausted by noon. That is what the next video is about. Because most seniors have spent years focused on the night, on the bedtime, on the hours, and they have never once stopped to examine the 30 minutes after they wake up. Yet that 30 minutes is where the night is won or lost, where your clock is set, where your day's energy is decided. It is the piece that almost every sleep program has left out. Before we go there, let me leave you with this. Better sleep. After 70 is not a wish, it is a decision. And it can start tonight. Tonight, you can dim the lights at 8. Tonight, you can put the phone down. Tonight, you can close your eyes at 9:30 and give your heart its dipping window, give your brain its cleaning cycle, give your metabolism its overnight regulation. And tomorrow morning, you can step into the light and set your clock for another good night. One night becomes two becomes a week becomes a month. And somewhere in that month, you will wake up one morning and realize you feel like yourself again. Not the tired version, not the foggy version, the version of you that has been there all along, waiting for the sleep your body has been trying to give you.